Welcome back to the Lucky 13 podcast, where we talk about all things people and profit. My name is Mike Lantz. I'm one of your hosts.
And I'm the other Josh Hauser. Good to see you again, Mike.
Good to see you as well. It's not Wear It Wednesday, but today's a special day. You're wearing
Yes.
a special shirt, Golf for Autism. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Eddie Gill and his wife Marissa.
And Eddie Gill is who?
Eddie Gill, if you watch the Pacers at all, you'll know who Eddie is. He's the good-looking guy. His sultry voice does the pregame, halftime, postgame, and then he's the radio voice.
Yeah. Played in the NBA.
Played in the NBA for a long time. Yeah. But more importantly, just a good dude.
Yeah,
just a
for sure.
Quality guy. And his wife and he started a school for autism. It's if you go on 465 on the west side and you look to the left, you'll see it. Mm-hmm. Or look to the east, I should say. But they have a golf outing every year where they raise a ton of money. And I was fortunate enough to be able to play in the golf outing. And when you talk about golf outings, we all go to golf outings and they're fun. But when you know you're playing for a golf outing that's something bigger than you and something that you can actually see a real impact for. And so, it's not Wear It Wednesday, but I wore this shirt today. Just, first of all, it's a delightful shirt. But more importantly, I miss Eddie, I miss Marissa, but I want people to be aware of what they're doing and just get involved. There's so many families out there can use that help.
Yeah, for sure. And it's really great that people like Eddie and others are stepping up and
oh my gosh,
making a difference and providing the education that kids have. I think so many kids in our past, like when we were growing up, when they had these challenges and all, they were just forced into public schools.
Correct. And
said, just deal with it. And we were wondering why they couldn't learn and things like that. And our whole education system has evolved in such a way that we've identified these things. We've created good opportunities for them.
And this means even more to me as my wife is now becoming a coach in early childhood development autism. So she's going through the coaching program and, that third, that 3-year-old to kindergarten area, you can make such a big impact early. And that's where she's spending her time in the pyramid model there.
And she's running around Spain right now.
Oh, goodness
so tell
gracious.
us about what that's going.
Yeah, daughter Tatum got an opportunity to go play. She's at she got to be in Real Madrid Stadium, practiced at the Real Madrid facility, which is like an academy, 400 kids who wake up every day and just play soccer. Got coached by some of the women's players there, and then she's in Valencia. And so we had to send a parent. My wife volunteered that she would go. I got to go to Centennial Days.
You had to be here for the podcast.
I did. It was all about the podcast and Centennial Days, which is our neighborhood party where we have bounce houses and rock walls. So I got to do that. So I know she's quite jealous as she's sitting in some cathedral right now, looking over history.
So you've been waking up as a single dad of 3. Is that how we could?
Yeah, there's only 3 at home right now. The 7, 10, and 13. The 15's gone. The other ones are at college. Lucy leaves for college on Thursday, but she babysits. Yeah. She's a nanny, so she's gone. So let's just say doing hair, that's all I need. That's the challenge I needed. I don't mind the dishes and the laundry, but brushing hair and putting it in the right pony and getting it right, it's the gray in my hair is falling out now.
Yeah, so back in the day, Josie, our youngest, she was playing soccer, and she was like 6 years old. And it was a Friday night, and I said to my wife, I'm like, hey, she's got soccer pictures tomorrow, for her team. And I said, don't worry about it. I got it, right? I'll take her. And so I get up, she gets her uniform on. I do a little something with the hair, and we go get the pictures, and we come back, and my wife says, are you kidding me right now?
I know that
she got her pictures taken with her hair looking like that. And I said, yeah. And she goes,
natural.
You didn't buy any, did you? I go, oh, yeah, I bought the premium package.
Yeah, absolutely.
She goes, go get your money back because we don't need those.
Oh, yeah. I know that story.
I got it.
I didn't realize that bubbles were an important thing when you're making a pony. I am obviously the bubble king. So there you go.
Awesome. All right, cool. Well, it's great to be back. You had brought up, by the way, for our listeners, we do massive amounts of show prep. Like we've been prepping for these 2 shows since we recorded the last one.
Yes.
Not really, but
yeah.
You brought
12
up
minutes ago.
your primary role professionally is you're out working with organizations as an EOS implementer.
Sure.
You do a lot of other things as well, and one of the things, so I love checking in with you and saying, what are you kind of seeing out there with the companies you're working with? And one of the things you brought up were these where organizations are, in your mind, there are 4 types of conversations that organizations can have. and you're seeing organizations getting this wrong.
Correct.
And so why don't we start by why don't you unpack for us the 4 different types of conversation, and then we'll dive into each one of them, kind of see what people are doing, what companies are doing right and what they're doing wrong.
And we'll give some credit to Patrick Lencioni while we're doing that.
Yeah.
But as I'm watching companies, especially either in session or out of session, where they're having meetings and they're not designing, they have a concept of what they want to do for the meeting, but they're not really clearly letting everybody know what mindset to come in the meeting with. So I'll give you an example. Let's unpack the 4 and we'll go through examples.
Yeah.
So from Patrick, and he helped me organize this, there's 4 meetings that we have, conversations, if you will. There's a brainstorming conversation.
Yep.
There's a decision-making conversation. There is a launch. Let's just use the word launch, and we can unpack that in a second. And then there's I'm just going to call it GSD conversation. If you don't know what GSD is, get stuff done. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
I don't think saying that word makes us not clean anymore with our podcast. So I think we're okay.
You go ahead, filthy mouth. All right, so I will never say a word like that without a joke involved. So I see companies going in, and I'm like, what kind of meeting are you having? What kind of mindset do we need to have? What kind of people do we need to have in the room? And so I started to unpack this, and there's some podcasts I listened to, and it really it became evident that I got teams, let's just use brainstorming, that are going in for a brainstorming conversation, yet there's 1, 2, or 3 people going in their discernment hat and are trying to solve the brainstorm at that point. When the reality is we're just trying to unpack everything that's going on. Does that resonate to you?
Yeah, and before you move on, let's first bring up the fact that you just used the word discernment, and this is part of the 6 Working Genius by Patrick Lencioni.
Yeah, the widget.
And so before we let's take a quick time out and talk about the 6 Working Genius real quick so everybody understands.
And if you haven't done this assessment, I really encourage you and your leadership team to take this assessment. It's just
you can go right out onto workinggenius.com, and it's like $20 or $25 to take them. It's
simple.
It's easy to order
and
them up.
It really gives you great explanations and lets you get some insight. And so there's Working Geniuses, Working Frustrations, and then there's their middle spot. So it's based off the concept of a widget, and the first widget's just wonder, and that is just always asking questions. And sometimes I did realize that when people ask questions, that they're not actually looking for answers. They're just a wonder person, just wanting to think out loud. And so
I wonder why a tire is round.
Correct. Yeah. And so the wonder genius is you're always trying to figure things out. And then right after that, you have the I, which is the innovative, which is, okay, let's create an answer for that. Let's see how we can unpack that a little bit more. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And so then after the I, you get to the D, which is this discernment. And that is the high yes, high no. Take all the information, I call them the proof. They look at all the information, they build a geometric proof. Here's your answer. And then if the answer is yes, then we got to build a team around that, which is the G. So we got to find a galvanizer who can put a group together, get them all pointing the same direction, same vision, getting rowing on the same strokes. If you've seen any of those rowing memes that are going on out there, that's what I visualize.
This is the hype man.
Yes.
Like this is the one that gets the team together.
Correct.
Swings
and gets
the rally
everybody
towel,
in the right
gets
spot,
everyone.
right?
Yeah.
I'd love to call him coach who wouldn't spell widget.
Yeah.
And then after that, you got to have people who just like to do the work. And that's the E, the enabler, that just literally either are picking things up and doing it or see the gaps in between and just jump in, or just say, give me my checklist manifesto and I'll get that done. But here's where I love that Patrick called this out, and this is why this is important to this conversation today, is you got to have some T's in the room. And a T is the tenacious person, tenacity, which wakes up and just says, I need to see it finished. I can't tell you how many companies, be in corporate America, myself included, that we can get everything about 80% of the way done, and then it just sits there. And you got to have that person who wants to see it cross the finish line with momentum.
Yeah, and so it's important to point out that this assessment, and again, check it out if you haven't already. There's also a book that goes along with it. But it is not a personality assessment. It's really not even a behavior assessment. It's a work styles assessment.
It's where you get your energy.
It's kind of one of the first of its kind, where it says that energy's thanks for saying that, because the idea is any of us we can all be all of these things.
Of course.
But for me, my working genius is innovation and galvanizing. Yeah, I can do that all day long, and my energy continues to build. Yeah, but if you make me be and do enablement and tenacity, I'm going to get worn out. It's going to burn you out, drain my energy.
Absolutely.
So the concept is, if we can have people that work with us constantly be in their working genius, as much as possible, then we're going to have a whole lot of engagement. We're going to have a whole lot of production out of that person. And conversely, if we have them in their working frustrations all day long, there's burnout that happens really fast.
Correct.
Right.
And you'll see it. And this ties back to the conversation is,
let's do that.
As long as we know before we go in, I might have to work in my working frustration because I'm going into a brainstorming meeting, which is my frustration. But I know before I go in, so I know my battery units are going to get unplugged, so I can either schedule before or after that I get right back into my genius side. Does that make sense? Yeah. But it also tells me when I walk into the room for a brainstorming meeting, I'm shutting off my discernment galvanizer.
Yeah.
That's who I want to be. I want to build a team, and I want to find the answers. And a brainstorming meeting, too many people walk in with that and be missing the fact that we really need to be in that WI.
Yeah, wonder and innovation space.
Absolutely.
Right.
What a great way to call that out. Hey, before you come into the meeting, I need you to put everything down and just walk in with your wonder and innovation, because all we want to do is capture everybody's thoughts on a board for the day.
Because as someone that's, well, first off, wonderment is a working frustration for me. Because a lot of people that I know that have that, they live in wonder and they never land the daggone plane to move forward with something. So that's when I like to pick it up and be the innovator. But what frustrates me sometimes also is when, the enablement or the tenacity person walks in and immediately takes the conversation down to the 5,000 foot level and says, well, let's think about this logistically. And I'm like, okay, let's not yet. Let's not yet.
Yeah, I describe it as, I wonder what it would look like if we plant trees outside the house. And if you don't call out that we're just brainstorming and I just want to wonder, your tenacious person will be out there digging holes the next morning.
That's right.
Does that make sense? So we gotta figure out how we just let everybody, just for that moment, just for a second, I need everybody plug in and just use that model. So think about when you walk into a brainstorming meeting, set the stage, everybody, we're not going to solve anything today. Yeah. So if you feel like you're starting to solve, shut that down. That'll be another meeting. Yeah. For today, all I want to do is just unpack all ideas.
Yeah. Okay. So brainstorming meeting, goal of that is to come up with a bunch of ideas to solve a particular problem, whatever it is.
Correct.
And let's just not solve anything yet, but let's come up with all the ideas that are possible around.
Love it.
Right. Okay.
Love it.
Second
meeting would be a decision-making meeting. So now we've had the brainstorming meeting. Now let's go to a decision-making style. So what do you think we would need thinking about the widget? Who or what kind of mentality? Doesn't mean, we want those folks in the room, but if I have the whole team in the room, what mentality do I want them to enter with? So what would you think that would be?
I think I certainly need discernment.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a big one that I really need, because we need, and this is where I'm kind of bad at sometimes, because I live in that innovation space. I need somebody to come in and show some reality. I get, Mike, you think that's what could really happen, and your justification to move this forward is on this.
Correct.
But when we run the data or we look at past or historical results, that doesn't show up.
And what happens in decision-making meetings, we'll get tied back to the wonder. Well, I wonder if we did this. Well, now we're back to brainstorming, and we should have already got that unpacked before we go in. And so we got to just get everybody on the room when they walk in, say, we're in decision-making mode. So we've unpacked everything we're going to unpack. We're not going to pack it up and repack it again. And let's get in here and look at the data, align it, pros and cons, SWOT analysis, whatever you want to do at that point, and let's get to decisions. And you tell the whole group we're going to be in the D, but you have a hard line with somebody in the room who's really good at discernment that facilitates that conversation.
Yeah. And I think one of the things I've seen done really well is where you'll have the brainstorming meeting, and then at the end of the brainstorming meeting, you go to in a lot of cases, it ends up being like the CFO or somebody, where you go to them and say, okay, here are the prevailing 4 best ideas.
Yep.
Come back in a week.
Correct.
And share with us what data you've put together and how you're discerning a recommendation.
Correct. So we've gotten the brainstorm, take data, give us options, and when we come back in the decision-making meeting, we'll start making some decisions based off data.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, now we've made a decision. So let's just use the word launch, because you got people who launch products, launch initiative, marketing campaigns, whatever it is. Now we go to launch. Same mentality that we got to come into the room with we're not trying to solve a problem now. We're not trying to uncover all the different ideas. We are actually taking what we uncovered. We're taking the decision we made, and now we're going to put it into action. We're actually going to application side. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so when you walk into a launch meeting, think about, you probably need that galvanizer in the room. Yeah. It's going to get the team all together. This is the team that's going to take this product to market. Yeah. And going to have some enablers in there, because there's going to be a lot of work to do in the middle of that. And we need those people, and we need everybody in the enablement mindset to come in and say, okay, just tell me what we need to get done, or I see what needs to get done. I'm just going to start on it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. And I think so many projects die because the launch isn't done right.
Yes.
Because it's like, okay, we came up with this great idea. Everybody agreed to it through the discernment phase. And then we go, and then it just on the launch.
You don't have a galvanizer that's getting everybody loaded, and you don't have somebody who just wants to do the work. You still got the person trying to create new ideas, or somebody still asking questions.
Yeah.
Well, we're past that stage now.
Yeah.
We're now to the next stage.
I think also it's important to really define if is the galvanizer the person that's going to rally all the way through, or is the galvanizer the person that just gets them going?
Yeah.
Because I've seen sometimes where I can be a really good galvanizer to get things going, but I'm not really great at seeing it all the way through. So I've always had to surround myself with people that have good enablement and tenacity to make sure that it gets all the way through.
Yeah, there's the 10-80-10 rule.
Yeah.
Get 10% started,
Yeah.
let them do the 80% in the middle. I would say a good galvanizer probably has more of like a 20-60-20, or maybe even a little slice in the middle of that 60 that they come in for a little bit just to do a checkup from the neck up, see how the project's going. Yeah. But a great galvanizer to me sees it get started, sees it gets finished, and then in the middle of it, make sure that everybody has all the obstacles and excuses removed so they can get the work done.
Yeah,
Give them the tools.
All right, what's the last meeting?
Well, we called it GSD. At the end of the day, here's what happens. We brainstorm, we got this great idea. We've now made a decision on what we're going to do with this great idea based off data we pulled, and our minds has always been, we've been tracking that way. Now we're in the launch mode, and we're ready to roll it out to the world, and there's always a couple things that don't get finished at the last second. And so I look at that GSD this is the what has to get done for this to get across the board. And that can happen early, middle, or at the end, but we got to have that tenacious person in the middle of that. So that's where the tenacity pops in. I need to make sure the mindset of the group with somewhat of a leader is walking in with, okay, we're not just getting this to 80%. This is coming all the way full circle. We're getting this, closing the circle all the way up and then moving to our next item. We can't move to the next item until we finish this.
Yeah, I think this is really a big one. And you've probably heard the phrase inside of organizations, technical debt.
Yeah. My gosh.
And technical debt's a huge thing where someone might go, here's this, excuse me. I don't know why got a frog in my throat. Where you got this new software package you might get, and you get it 60% operational. And maybe we don't even have to get it all 100%, all the values at 90, but we're missing out on that 60 to 90%. And it's usually because there's nobody that has that tenacity to take it all the way to the finish line to get value. But we're still paying for it. We're paying for 100% of it.
100%.
But we're only getting 60% of the value.
And to me, I look at the tenacious person probably partners with the process champion or system champion in the company, and not only sees it get all the way done, but documents what you do to get it all the way done so that anybody can pick it up. Because what I also see is that only one person knows how it works when it gets done, and it's not shared widely. It's not shared by all.
Well, we ought to do a podcast on systems.
I would love to do that. Yeah. I'm calling you out. You got to lead us on a systems podcast.
Yeah. So So I've participated in a lot of EOS sessions, right? As a business owner, and we run our companies on EOS. A big key component of EOS is IDS, okay? Identify, discuss, and solve issues. Overlay this inside of that.
Oh, great question. I think I would actually say what kind of issue we have. Hey, I just need a brainstorming issue. I need everybody to be in wonder. And just for a second, I don't want to solve this today. Can you imagine listing your issues on the board and calling out what I need from that, either using the widget or which one of these meetings?
So you're just doing ID in the session and not the actual solve.
If it's just a brainstorming. And so next week, I'm going to put that issue back on the board and we're going to move it to the S. But for the time we have today, let's use 15 minutes. I just want to get a quick brainstorm. I want to pull everybody's ideas. Next week, I'll come back with options. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I think that's really good because I feel like there's this tension. And it's just, I'm sold out for EOS. Right?
Yeah,
I get it. But there's this tension that is on these IDS discussions.
Correct.
To solve them in the moment that day.
And a solve is a to-do to go get the information so we can solve it next week.
That's a great distinction.
And so I see that too many times. Solving means that the issue's gone all the way away. And yes, that is the ultimate goal. But if we don't have enough data to solve the issue, or we purposely did not bring the data, I wanted to get everybody's ideas and then say, let me take those ideas. I'll meet with the CFO, to use your example, and I'll bring back next week 3 options. And then the to-do becomes the solve, that for us to get this solved, we go this direction.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, for sure. And so I'm going to pull in a kind of a mindset to also have around this, or a use. I think we've talked several times about back in my Defender days, I learned this concept of, in goal setting, of having minimum level goals, primary goals, and visionary goals. Minimum are this, I can't walk out of this room.
Correct.
We can't finish the year with at least hitting this, without hitting this minimum. Primary is always the goal. And visionary, I always say God's got to get involved a bit. Like if this went exactly the way I wanted it,
sure,
this would be it. And that's easy to think about when you're thinking about annual goals or about your performance against budgets or whatever. But I always try to go into meetings with minimum, primary, and visionary goals for the meeting.
Oh my gosh.
Right. And so I think the thing that happens before this is getting somebody to think through, when I look at this meeting, what is my minimum goal, my primary goal, and visionary goal, and walking into the room or sending it out in advance in the calendar invite, minimum, primary, visionary, this is what we're trying to accomplish. And that's where you can start to say, this is a brainstorm meeting. This is the goal minimally, primary, visionary.
We're going to spend 90 minutes in a meeting, right? Why wouldn't we spend 10 minutes beforehand making sure that the mindset for everything we're going to deal with is right so I don't waste 90?
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many brainstorming meetings I've gone into that were a 60-minute brainstorming session that ended up being a GSD session or a launch session, which completely destroyed it. And then we got done, we're like, what did we just get done? You know what we got done? We just scheduled another meeting.
Yeah.
Rather than just call out, this is what we're getting done for this meeting. This is the mindset I want you to walk into. You could actually send the widget. Here's what I want you to think about beforehand. I want you to come in with your W in your eye and shut everything else off for a while.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you? And that pre-work can now take a 60-minute meeting and make it the most effective and efficient rather than having the meeting after the meeting after the meeting.
Yeah. So I think what people can do with it, what leaders can do with this is, pull out your phones right now, look at your meetings, and start to define what is the purpose of this meeting. Is this a brainstorming meeting? Is this a decision-making? Is it a launch? Is it a GSD? I would even encourage people to maybe start in the title of the meeting.
Correct.
If I'm getting together with Amber to talk about True You Growth, I might say brainstorm meeting -- True You Growth.
Yeah.
Or if it's a decision making, I would say decision making True You Growth.
And if you've gone through Working Genius, you could literally put the letters in there.
Yeah.
So that I need you to show up as I need your wonder when you come in. I need your discernment when you come in.
Yeah.
Look, we're stuck. I need your tenacity.
Yeah.
We got to get some stuff done today.
Yeah, and I think this is so, for all the business leaders listening to this, I think this is huge for your people too.
Absolutely.
Because I just truly think a lot of people come into meetings not knowing what the purpose of it is.
No.
And this gives them some sense of how to show up, how to contribute, or potentially even to say, I'm not a good person to be in that meeting.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be able to offer much value.
Elon Musk will say, if I'm not going to provide in that meeting, you have the right to get up and walk out of that meeting.
Mm-hmm.
If you know you can't be in that mindset, what a gift you've given to everybody else when you do that. And I love that idea that when I walk into a meeting, I know what the agenda is, but more importantly, I know what the objective is. Yeah. And for the objective to get done, I need to know what kind of meeting I'm having and what my mind needs to be set to.
Yeah, good deal. Great stuff, Josh. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Appreciate
you.